You're nice. Explore a nautical-inspired entrance filled with coastal Christmas charm. Plus, shop hundreds of booths to find one-of-a-kind gifts for everyone on your list. Buy tickets at southernChristmasShow.com. Online tickets courtesy of Craft Body Scan.
Let's go to the Southern Christmas Show.
And now for a look at your weather forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. Mostly sunny skies out there today. That afternoon high is going to be up near 70 degrees with a calm wind around 6 miles per hour. Heading into the evening, we'll have some partly cloudy skies. That low temperature won't be that bad tonight. We'll only get down around 48 degrees. This has been your weather forecast from the WSIC Weather Center.
Purple Heart Homes presents Putting the Pieces Back Together, a forum for veterans and the community to connect. Here are your hosts, veterans John Gallina and Brad Borders.
Well, hello.
Oh my gosh, that was so loud.
I was confused because it said, well, go ahead.
I've got to turn my volume down. Is this,
Why are you wearing the headphones?
I have like 80, I don't know, I like wearing them. I feel like a professional when I've got them on. So.
You know, all of our guests are in studio. If you can see that all the seats are filled.
I have to wear them. But now that I had the volume turned up all the way, I did have 80% hearing loss. Now I have 90.
Oh, wow. That's, unfortunately, that's not going to be a VA claim there. That's
it's that. Stop. Don't say that out loud.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The VSO is listening.
He probably is. Oh, man. I hear that he's one of our 3 listeners, right?
Yeah, he's one of our 3 listeners. We're up to 3 now, and we're all in the studio. So we'll do the challenge again. If you're on Facebook or you have friends on Facebook and you aren't listening, if we can get to 31 listeners, we will surpass Sheriff Darren Campbell's all-time record for live
Facebook listeners.
That's right.
Now we get more listeners on reviews.
Oh, do we?
Every time I look, we usually have a few more.
Oh, there you go, Sheriff.
I think it's because you're so charismatic.
Is that what it is? Yes, I know. Well, we are missing a teammate today.
Well, unfortunately, I don't know if you heard, Brad, but we had to fire John.
Yes, John did get fired. I actually sent him a meme this morning of Michael G. Scott, Michael Gary Scott saying, "You are fired."
That's right. Now, why did he get fired? It was
he got fired for talking about the Marines. Do you remember?
Oh,
and
right.
Your wife got mad, and Mandy Timberlake.
No, not my wife. It was
your mama.
It was. We had complaints from 2 Marine mothers, not one, but 2 Marine mothers.
Who were the Marine mothers?
Paul Cockrum's
his
mother also made a
Cochran.
complaint, and have you ever Mothers of America when they write in? Everything shuts down. Oh yeah, you're in trouble. Yeah, so
like moms against drunk driving,
absolutely.
Moms against talking bad about the Marines.
Does anybody ever want to really mess with a mom? I mean,
no,
especially a mad Marine mom. I mean, if they raised a Marine, do you really want to deal with them?
No, not really.
Probably not. Yes.
Not really. No, not at all. So John did get fired. So there may be a probationary period, and he's serving that right now.
We'll talk about him coming back maybe 2 weeks from now.
2 weeks from now. We will not be on next week because it'll be Thanksgiving, and everybody will be giving thanks and stuffing their face full of good food. So
absolutely. So no guests next week, but we do have some wonderful guests this week.
We do, and you are listening to Putting the Pieces Back Together, presented by Purple Heart Homes. You can find out more about us at phhusa.org. How we help veterans each and every day across this country and locally in our own community.
Absolutely. Wow, you are sounding professional these days. I'm a professional. Wow.
And we do that here on WSIC. That's News Talk Now. Another $18 for me.
Oh, my gosh.
Justin, you can just credit my account with that.
Why don't we get to our guests? Man, I'm going to be fired now. I was thinking about that turkey, and
I told you this was your show. This is your show.
We have our guests
this week right?
from PEDVAC, and that's the Piedmont Veterans Assistance Council.
You had a little thought like you didn't know what it was there for a minute,
I really should know what that is.
You're on the board.
And we have our executive director, Julie Zeichel. Say hello, Julie.
Yep, Julie Zackel.
Zackel. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm batting 1,000 today, aren't I, Brad?
I'm batting 1,000.
Oh man.
Yeah, I'm
and
batting 1,000.
Major General James Mallory.
Retired.
Retired.
Who, by the way, was present and pinned my lieutenant bars on me at my commissioning service 20 years ago.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
Wow.
That is
Only 20 years ago? It seems like anyways,
And then I stole him back to go to Fort Jackson.
That's right. Yeah,
right.
he
Rest
stole
is
me back.
history.
It's a great story. It's a great story. I got stuck at Fort Jack. I got stuck at Fort Hood, and I didn't know what to do. And there was some unit trying to snatch me up to go somewhere. I didn't know what to do, so I called back home. I was in the 108th Division at the time, and the commanding general was James Mallory. And he said, just hang on, I'll take care of it. 2 hours later, E4 walked in the office and said, is there a chaplain boarders here? And I was like, yes. He said, you got orders to get out of here, sir. Your plane leaves in 2 hours. And I was like, wow, that was fast.
I think they just wanted to get rid of you.
I think so.
Yes.
When you have 2 stars on your collar, things can happen quickly. Just saying.
wow. Well, so General, would you like to tell us a little bit about what PVAC is?
Well, about 10 years ago, Pete Melinas, who's a Korean War Marine vet, discovered a number of homeless veterans in Iredell County, and he started doing some research and turned up that there were quite a few veterans that were in need, and that just really offended him. And so he, as a prior vet and also a great community leader in Mooresville, basically pulled together some representatives from the different veterans organizations like the American Legion and the Veterans Council and the Marine Corps League and the Order of the Purple, Military Order of the Purple Heart. So he pulled us all together and said, this is not acceptable, and we need to do something about it. So we started looking right then about how can we impact that problem, and we discovered relatively quickly thereafter that, well, there's more than just a housing issue. It's a food insecurity issue.
Absolutely.
And it extends beyond veterans to their families.
Yeah, and Pete was an incredible human being. Passed away just a few years back. His wife, left his wife Vivian behind. Vivian's been involved with PVAC since the beginning. And but Pete is actually, his picture is at the Marine Corps Museum at up in D.C. in Quantico.
Oh my gosh, I didn't
they took a
realize that.
picture of him, and Pete was in the Battle of the Chosin Reservoir. And there's a picture of him sitting on the front of a Jeep, and he's actually in the Marine Corps calendar that they put out one year and it was like the temperatures were unreal, cold when that battle was happening.
For those who don't know, that was also referred to as the Frozen Chosen.
That's exactly right, the Frozen Chosen. That's exactly right. And Pete was an incredible human being. The fact that he survived that he came through on that, and then not only that, came back to just become an incredible developer here in our community. He had a heart for others. I knew Pete when I was just a wee lad, and my dad introduced me to him, and my dad told me about him. So he's a legend.
Is there anyone in this county that you don't know, Brad? And we're going to have to get the answer to that after our break, probably. As a
See, Joe Mallory, have you been? You just got elected as the chairman of the board? Is that correct?
That's correct. At
Okay.
PVAC, I swapped out being chairman of the Iredell County Board of Commissioners. And,
That's right.
this is,
That's a better job for you. I like that job.
We're going to hear a little bit more
Back to
about
PVAC.
that here just right after our commercial break.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's going to be an interesting story. You've been listening to Putting the Pieces Back Together, presented by Purple Heart Homes.
Outstanding.
Putting the Pieces Back Together with John Gallina and Brad Borders will return after this short break on the new 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
You look just like the gopher on Caddyshack.
That's what he's
Like, do that again. Huh? I have my earbud.
Are you having a stroke on air?
I thought he was being funny about it.
I couldn't hear you.
A gentle reminder.
Yeah. Do that again.
Brad,
You need a headset.
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
You about blew the board up.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. I couldn't hear you, and then go ahead and do that again, because that was impressive.
Blow the board up, but if you look at the audio peak,
Yeah. Which one is Devin? Devin.
take a look at it.
Oh, yeah. That's Devin. Yeah, that's why I have hearing loss. Right there.
wow.
Right there.
For those of y'all, even though
voice or is it
Oh, my God.
Do it.
He just screamed. He did not use his inside voice.
I pulled, yours is the lowest.
they once took my microphone away.
That's right.
And they could
Still hear you? That's terrible.
The engineer at that time, it was Isaiah's, and he's trying to figure out where the sound was coming from.
It was coming from Devin. He was in Rocky's studio, just in there talking. Oh, that's incredible. All right, 2 minutes.
Yeah, so if you don't know, we're live during the breaks on Facebook, and people can go back and watch that. And this is the time where if you need to say something that isn't FCC friendly,
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
This is the time where you could say that.
Good to know.
Yeah. This is like, if you've got any not for the pulpit jokes on Sunday, this is the time to tell that.
yes,
Or any kind of thing like that. So.
yeah, a lot of times we'll go over favorite military acronyms. We can you need to think about those between this break and the next one.
Favorite military acronyms.
Yeah.
My favorite one is SABUCUS.
SABUCUS.
Yeah.
Have you said this before?
No,
don't
I
remember
haven't.
That.
No, it's my
What-
new favorite one,
what-
SABUCUS.
What is SABUCUS?
I don't know.
1 minute.
It just sounds awesome. It was this little course that we had at 3rd Special Forces Group, and it was for all of the support elements to come and get the operator style training, and they called it SABUCUS.
So,
It stands for something.
so most people have a favorite acronym because, like, they know what it means, and they.
It's like,
but you just like the sound of the word.
I just love that. Yeah, I just love the way it flows off my tongue. SABUCUS.
SABUCUS.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So
all right.
anyhow, more of that after the break.
We are on the break.
I know.
All right, I'm shutting my mics.
Putting the Pieces Back Together continues now. Here are your hosts, John Gallina and Brad Borders on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Welcome back to Putting the Pieces Back Together. We're presented by Purple Heart Homes. If you are listening out there, we've been talking to the officials from PVAC. That's the Piedmont Veterans Assistance Council.
Wow, you sound like you're on like NPR or something.
Well, I was
Like,
told.
welcome back.
Yeah. Well, during the break, I
Very
was
groovy sounds
I was
coming
explaining
from
to-
jazz. We're going to be playing jazz today.
I've apparently been damaging the equipment here by talking too loud.
You were verbally accosted by our engineer Joe from WSIC News Talk Now.
Yeah.
And evidently your voice is so loud that it created a disturbance in the force.
Oh my gosh.
And they felt it on Alderaan. And so anyhow,
Well, there was a graph, and I didn't even fit on the graph.
no, you did not. No, you did not. And I have hearing loss to prove it.
Off the charts.
Yeah, it was off the charts. It was
Well,
fantastic.
why don't we get back to our guests?
Why don't
and-
we do that? We
Yeah.
are here joined by our friends from the Piedmont Veterans Assistance Council, Julie and the General. That sounds really good.
Wow.
Yeah,
We're a team.
yeah, it's a great team. So,
Absolutely.
Battle buddies.
Julie, please introduce yourself to our audience. Tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, your family, and why in the world are you doing this?
Gosh. Well, my name's Julie Zackel. I'm the executive director for Piedmont Veterans Assistance Council, otherwise known as my favorite acronym, PVAC.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Ooh, that's
and
good.
I was I'm a Rangers fan, just like Joe here. So I grew
Like
up-
Texas Rangers or
no,
New York
like
Rangers?
New York Rangers.
Okay,
I grew
all
up
right.
in upstate New York. I moved down here about maybe 30 years ago, and I think it was 10 years ago, right around this time, that I met Pete Miletus and found out what he was doing and joined PVAC. And little did I know I was not only joining PVAC, I signed up to be on a steering committee. So I went in, just tackled it, and they asked me after about a year if I would be the secretary-treasurer. And I took that on, and the rest is history, I guess. I don't know. We've worked really hard making a comeback after Pete passed. It'll be 3 years ago next Wednesday, that's 21st.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's been a long 3 years, and
it has.
I miss him a lot, and so we definitely have had a tough road making a comeback from COVID and keeping PVAC above water, and I think we're headed in the right direction. And
That's awesome. What's your connection to the veteran community other than meeting Pete? I mean, do you have? Are you a veteran? Do you have veterans in your family?
No,
relatives,
my dad was in the Navy, but that was like way before I was born.
Right.
And my uncle was a lifetime in the Navy. So
it was really just kind of your relationship with Pete when you met him. How did you meet Pete?
So it's a long story, but I'll shorten it up. I went through a tragic event in my life, and I was going to grief counseling. I was going with a counselor and a lay minister, and so we would pray before and after the meetings. And so at the end of one of the meetings, we said our prayer. I don't remember what the prayer was, but when I came back the next week, my lay minister said to me, these words in our prayer were spoken by someone that I think you should call, and she gave me Pete's number. And I was like, why am I supposed to call him? I mean, I don't get this. But, I had asked God to what was the purpose of what I went through. And so that was what our prayer was about, was the answer to that, I guess. And so I meet Pete, and, he just was like meeting an old friend. I mean, I could just sit down and talk to him, and he was so involved with this, and his heart just became mine. Yeah. And I just felt everything that I did for PVAC, I was doing for Pete as well. Wow. So, and what he wanted to do was to help veterans. He didn't want to see anyone suffer. Yeah. So, yeah, he took me under his wing. I think I've learned a lot from him, but I'm hoping I'm making a difference, right?
I think you are.
You absolutely
That's a
are.
super cool story, man.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be. You should tell the long version of that, right? Because that should be told.
I told a little of it to James today. It's got, this is the path God put me on, and He shows me all the way.
That's super cool. So tell everybody, what's the mission of PVAC?
Well, we support struggling and homeless veterans. So we do that by providing feeding, transportation, and assisting with critical needs. Right now, we only have 2 feeding programs, but we've had as many as 5. And we have served, I think last year we served about 1,000 veterans in our feeding program. Wow. This year we're up to, I think we're at like about 1,200 right now. And out of that, last year, the 1,000, about 300 of them were widows of veterans. We treat that all the same.
That's such an underserved community.
Absolutely.
We often talk about veterans and their service to the community, but when you serve as a wife of someone that's in the military, I mean, you really are serving if they're serving and you're their spouse.
Yeah, that lady over there knows that.
Yes. Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah,
it's definitely something that when it's a sacrifice. I talked to a I talked to a Vietnam veteran the other day, and I said, thank you for your service and your sacrifice. And he said, I didn't fight in Vietnam. He said, and I said, well, you sacrificed. You didn't get to sit with your wife for dinner at night, know. So there is sacrifice, even if you weren't in battle.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, time away. Right, gone for training, deployed or whatever.
Yeah, and your family sacrifices as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and time is a precious commodity as well.
It is.
You don't get any of it back. Right?
It is.
Not any of it. How does the how does the feeding program work? I mean, what does that look like? The veterans out there right now is like, hey man, I'm struggling. What does it look like, and how do they get involved with that?
Well, there are several feeding programs, mostly run by churches,
Right.
that we collaborate with.
Okay.
So if they identify a veteran that uses their services, then we're able to compensate the feeding program at
I
the
got
church.
you. Yeah. Yeah.
PVAC is really designed to try to work in that little gray area between the services that government provides but doesn't cover other things,
Correct.
and nonprofits provide, but sometimes people don't know where to go. So oftentimes Julie will get calls, and she'll be able to direct them to the right belly button to push to get the resources to address whatever their problem is or challenge. One of the great examples of that at the end of the day was when we came together as to address what Pete's primary focus was, which was homelessness, and be able to work with the Statesville Housing Authority, which had a house that could serve as a veterans transition home, but they didn't know anything about running a transition home. Fifth Street Ministries, because they run a shelter, had the expertise to be able to administer a program, and PVAC had the ability to raise funds to, jumpstart the entire process. So separately, we couldn't have done anything, or we're kept butting our heads up against the wall. But together, we were able to get the synergy to accomplish, a place where veterans who have been homeless but don't want to be homeless,
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
can transition from the Fifth Street Ministries to the transition home, get additional services, get jobs, and then transition on out to the economy, or in some cases, the tiny homes that are built by Purple Heart Homes now.
Yeah,
So,
right. Yeah, just
absolutely.
another layer of independent living for them. It's been a great program. I mean, and it really has. I can't remember. I mean, there's dozens of veterans that have come through the Veterans Transition Program at Fifth Street. I mean, I can't remember the exact number.
About 80.
Is it 80? Wow.
Wow,
Holy cow. I mean,
that's,
and they don't stay there forever, right? It's the beautiful part about it.
Like 2 years.
It's designed to be a transition period, but it's not so short term that it just creates more problems for people, right? It's long enough term, and they bring a lot of ancillary resources in with teaching, redoing job skills and connecting them with employment, and then helping them find places to live outside of that. And it's really a
Absolutely.
great
Now,
program.
one service that PVAC does provide that is an ongoing service, we don't collaborate with others other than, having had some great supporters that have helped us out to obtain vans to be able to get veterans who need to get to the VA in Salisbury, but don't have the means to do so. And so we have that free of charge. We have volunteers, and we need volunteers to help us drive those vans back and forth to the VA. And there's a lot.
I was
of
literally just at a veteran's house on Tuesday. Our friend Bill Mullis, who was a veteran that Purple Heart Homes had helped a number of years ago, we built a ramp for him. And his wife at the time primarily used the ramp because she has MS. And then Bill has had a stroke now, and now he's permanently in a wheelchair for the rest of his life, right? I mean, a wonderful guy. He's a Vietnam veteran, 82nd Airborne guy. And he was talking about the struggles that he had in getting, he had to, figure out how to get to the VA. And I was like, do you guys know about PVAC? And we're like, what's that? And I was like, let me give you a phone number. So I gave him your phone number, Julie.
Oh, good.
So they're going to be calling because I was telling them about the vans and how you were able to do that. So anyhow, hey, when we come back, we're going to talk about a special project of the week that just happened this week, and it's a great story.
This week, absolutely.
Yeah. And we're going to listen to some words from our sponsors that keep us on the air here at WSIC, that's fantastic. That's News Talk Now. That's another $18 for me.
You're not getting that money, Brad.
Another $18 for me. So we'll see you back here in just a few minutes. Thanks for listening.
More Putting the Pieces Back Together with John Gallina and Brad Borders. Coming up on the new 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Doughboy commercial when you would poke him
I know,
and
can
he'd
you
go,
do that one?
Why did you poke me?
Well,
when
I
I
don't know, I
did
just
it?
Well, you did the gopher. You do the gopher and the Pillsbury
wait.
Doughboy.
I know you're
Do
still.
'em
Are
at
we
the
still
same
live on
time.
Facebook? No. So I want to get some comments. This has nothing to do with what we're talking about. But Tammy and I watched a movie last night. It's a Coen Brothers movie called The Big Lebowski. Have you ever seen that movie?
Yeah, I've definitely
Oh
seen
my
that
gosh,
movie.
John
Oh.
Goodman is the greatest character ever in that movie. He's a Vietnam veteran.
That's what I've got. my
So,
knees
is
in
this the
wires
question
here.
about the
I give you a little bit more room.
John Goodman's friend?
Should be all good.
John, what?
There's so some folks speculate that I forgot what that other fellow that's in there,
Donnie.
Donnie that he
That had a heart attack.
yes, that he's not real.
He's not real. What do you mean? That person is not real?
Yeah, that it's all a figment of John Goodman's imagination because nobody else interacts with him.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's
I thought it was great because after he passed away from a heart attack, they put his ashes in a Folgers coffee can. It is fantastic. It is fantastic.
Is that where you'd like your ashes? Is in the Folgers?
I think a
coffee can?
Folgers coffee can would be outstanding. I
Hey.
really do. So I had a buddy of
I don't
mine.
think Tammy wants you in the pantry.
So we had a
Needs to
buddy.
be marked very well.
So this is very special forces ish, right? But so when Ben Bittner from Third Group died in 2011, we did his memorial in Greencastle, Pennsylvania, which was where he was from. And we had his memorial at the volunteer fire department where he and his whole family, they were all volunteer firefighters up there. Across the street was the VFW. And then we had the after party of his memorial at the VFW. And they had his ashes in a 40 mic
Oh,
canister
wow.
on the bar with a gold nameplate on it, and all his teammates were that weren't in Afghanistan were doing shots off the top of the ammo crate. So,
Holy smokes!
yeah,
Wow.
it was pretty epic. It was something
That
I'll never
wasn't intended to be a
I'll
pun.
never forget. I went home at like 9. I don't think they did. So I went back to my hotel. I was like that. I think it was going to get pretty raucous, and I didn't figure the chaplain needed to be like present for
they didn't
everything.
need any witnesses.
No, they definitely did not need any witnesses. So, but it was pretty outstanding. Yeah.
I thought you were the bringer of bad things. I mean, you told that story about what was it? You played Porky's? Is it?
What?
Not that. No.
What?
Oh, Stripes.
No, I didn't
Porky's
play
the
Porky.
extended director's
No,
cut.
I did
Same
not play.
difference.
I played. Okay, for those watching on Facebook, I played for my soldiers. I wanted them to give them a good time while we were over there, and I wanted to play a movie for them. They were all young kids. They probably never seen the movie Stripes with Bill Murray, right? And I had not seen the original version. You know, the only version I'd seen since I saw the original was the TBS, the cut up version. And there are some parts of that movie that feature women without clothing on. And then that scene came up very early in the picture, and I had like 19 or 20-year-olds, and they were like, "You are the
Motivated.
greatest chaplain ever!" And I was like, "I am the worst chaplain ever." I was
yeah,
praying
that's-
for forgiveness for corrupted. And see, here's how naive I thought I was. I thought I was corrupting them. They were already corrupt.
There was a few of them in that audience that were just as innocent as a newborn
No.
baby.
Oh, no, they were not.
And the chaplain ruined them.
I
That's
did. It was a ruination of the 422nd Civil Affairs. So,
oh my gosh.
yeah, 1 minute.
1 minute.
Okay,
All right.
that's
So during this one, have you thought of your favorite acronym?
Well, I have to go back to World War II. FUBAR.
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 Yeah,
Oh yeah.
that's a good one.
You know, that's a lot of folks.
Yeah.
And if you were going to say what that
Subucus.
stood for,
Subucus. That's my other favorite.
it would have to be now.
There was another one called Sephardic. There's Sephardic and Subucus. Yeah.
Sephardic?
Sephardic, yeah. That was
Oh,
a
yeah.
Special Forces Advanced Urban Tactical something. All right, here we go. Oh, Project of the Week.
Yeah.
Bring us in.
Memorial.com.
Now more Putting the Pieces Back Together with John Gallina and Brad Borders on the new 1059 100.7 WSIC.
Welcome back to Putting the Pieces Back Together with Brad Borders and
John Gallina.
No,
Oh.
John Gallina was fired.
Oh, that's right. He did. He
we
got
we
fired.
may let him have a what's the word I'm looking
Preliminary?
for? No, not
Probationary period.
Probationary period in 2 weeks or so.
Where he gets to come back.
Yeah, we'll
try
see.
out
To
again.
try out to
Veterans
see.
Court.
That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah. Take him to Veterans Court. That's awesome. Well, we're glad everybody's here. You are listening to Putting the Pieces Back Together. We got our friends from Piedmont Veterans Assistance Council here. Before we get back to them, I want to talk about the project of the week.
Oh yes,
And
please do tell.
So yesterday was a very special day in the Purple Heart Homes world. The reason Purple Heart Homes exists because on November 15th of 2004, John Gallina and Dale Beatty were blown up by an anti-tank mine in Iraq, and Dale was grievously injured and died, and died on the plane, and they brought him back, and then came back to Statesville with no legs, and our community pulled together and through John's leadership and built him an adaptive home, right? And really
yes.
that's our community here in Iredell County in Statesville. The outpouring of support was the reason they wanted to recreate that for other veterans all across the country, and that's why we exist. And so yesterday, in line with that, yesterday we got a call from a veteran in distress yesterday, and he's 76 years old. Lives in Lenoir, North Carolina, and had been, and his well was not working. He had no water in his house and was in absolute distress. And through a conversation with him that I had with him on the phone, figured out that, and he told me, he plainly told me that he had attempted to take his own life a few weeks ago.
So he was really in a dark place.
I mean, in a terribly, terribly dark place. And unfortunately, we are not we're not a crisis organization, right? We can't just get somebody calls in and says, "Hey, I've got this broken." I can't just call out to the warehouse and send a truck out, and we're not an emergency repair organization.
Right. We plan ahead, and we're trying to take care of things as they come in.
And
we
got,
budget, and
and we've got 1,000 veterans waiting in line,
the
and this
pipeline,
guy's in the
absolutely.
pipeline, and this guy's calling. And plus, it's the end of the year, and our funding is running low this time of year.
because we've already allocated all those funds.
Yeah, and so I felt like helpless talking to this guy on the phone. He's obviously not, I can't just go over to his house immediately. And so what ended up happening was, as I asked him, I said, we talked. I got him a place where he could at least talk. I said, sir, where do you live? He said, well, I live in Lenoir. And as soon as he said Lenoir, immediately, boom, a bell went off in my head. I was like, I got a friend in Hudson, which is like 3 miles from Lenoir. So I told him, I was like, hey, I'm going to call my friend who's a pastor of First Baptist in Hudson, a very large church up there. And I know a church that is reaching out in their community and doing things, right? And so the pastor's name is Mac Jarvis. He's one of my best friends in the whole world. And his wife, Lori, is one of Tammy's best friends in the whole world. And we just, we've been friends with them for 30 years. So I called Mac, got him on the phone, and explained to him what was going on. And I said, hey, do you have men in your church that are good with their hands, work, perhaps they know how to fix stuff like this? I said, also, too, I need a veteran. This guy just doesn't need this problem fixed. He needs a person.
Right. He needs because
He
he
needs
just
somebody to
came
be
out of this dark
present.
time. Right.
He needs somebody to be present with him. And Mac said, send me an email with all the details. Well, I did that, and I reached out to Mac today. They got a veteran that's going to go out and see him. They got guys that know how to fix the problem, and their church is going to cover the expenses to fix the problem.
Wow, that is
So
amazing.
that's exactly why we do what we do, right? That was not a Purple Heart Homes project. That was not something like we're gonna go, hey, we helped that guy, but we helped that guy.
Well,
right?
the general just called that knowing what belly button to push. But,
That's right. That's
and
right.
and I wrote that down because I thought that was just so clever.
Well,
but,
our theme for this year has been unconventional thinking, right?
Absolutely.
And then that illustrates the way to be unconventional. Instead of just going, hey, I'm sorry, dude, put in an application and we'll put your name in a big long list. We had, because of where he was, because of people we knew, we had the resources not to directly impact it, but we had the resources to indirectly impact that and to bring to bear through years of friendship and relationships with other people. And that's why relationships are so critical.
Absolutely.
So, I just thought that was a cool thing to say for the project of the week this week.
That's a really amazing project, and that's exactly why Purple Heart Homes partners with other organizations, because we can't do everything. We got to come together as a community. So if you want to help out veterans in your community with their housing needs, go to phhusa.org. We'd love to have you, whether that's financially or physically. There's many ways to help. So please go visit us there and talk. And speaking of organizations that are working with their community to help, let's get back to PVAC.
Let's do that. Yeah, awesome.
So,
did you have something teed up there?
No,
was that my turn? Is that my turn to talk? Or is it your?
I think when people call PVAC, they talk to Julie.
They do?
And
Absolutely.
So she is our clearinghouse that leverages all the different organizations that we can refer people to if we can't take care of things in-house, similar to what you just described.
Yeah.
So I think probably Julie can best speak to some of the.
Yeah, I was going to say, do you have is there a
with.
particular story or a particular veteran that's come across, your purview that really meant a lot to you that you helped?
Well, I talk to a lot of people that may not know what we do, but they just see it's veteran assistance, so they call me, and I just kind of direct them best I can to where maybe someone can help them. I've sent a lot of people to you guys, and they're veteran service officers, which, are in every county. So, a lot of people don't know that, which is important to know because they can help you out. I found out that if you want to change your bank account, if you want to switch banks, that you have to go through your veteran service officer. If you're direct deposit, right?
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah. So, but, you learn something new every day with them. So,
Yeah.
But, I think I texted you when you were off on reserves somewhere in Wisconsin, I think.
I think so.
We had a veteran that was suicidal, and the police department knew that we did transportation, and they tried to get a hold of us to transport this veteran.
Yeah.
And we got Leon Imes offered to come up and go and take care of it. And he said, it was just this great conversation they had the whole way. And this is a man who was standing on the side of the road, threatening to jump in front of the next truck.
Wow.
And I'm sure that there's lots of help that we offer that, is so helpful, not necessarily in saving lives, but alleviating stress and insecurities and giving people hope,
Well, I would say alleviating stress and giving people hope is actually saving lives.
Right.
Because as issues go unresolved in people's lives, the stress builds up like rocks in a rucksack. And sometimes you get too much in there, it becomes too heavy a burden to bear, and they start looking for a way out.
Absolutely.
And sometimes the way out is like, I just want to end the pain. And so I'm really proud of what you guys do. I know that my friend Carl Johnson, his dad, Fuzzy, from Fuzzy's Appliances, passed away earlier this year and donated his van
He did.
to PVAC, and we hope that van has been a blessing to others, because it was funny when Carl, after his dad died, Carl called me and said, hey, my dad really wanted to help veterans. He said, can you find somebody to give this van to? And I was like, man, we're going to give it to PVAC, because then lots of veterans will benefit from that. And he was like, man, that would have made my dad so happy.
Right.
To know that multiple veterans would be served by that. And so, hey, we're coming up on a break here. We got our last break before we end the show today. You're listening to Putting the Pieces Back Together. And we got our friends from Piedmont Veterans Assistance Council on. It's been a great show so far. John is not with us. He is on a secret mission. He's been fired.
He's been fired on a secret mission. Can he be on both? I don't know.
He can be.
Plausible deniability.
That's it, sir.
Absolutely.
That's it, sir. So, hey, we'll be back here in just a couple minutes. Hang in there with us till the end of the show. We got more coming up on Putting the Pieces Back Together on WSIC News Talk Now.
You're not getting paid.
There's more Putting the Pieces Back Together with John Gallina and Brad Borders on the way from the new 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Here's your WSIC community calendar. Santa is coming to town. Come out to Birkdale Village from 2 to 7 p.m. this Saturday, the 18th. WSIC will be broadcasting live from the event. Activity Row, Birkdale on Ice, beer garden, dance performances, and the tree lighting parade. Dance away the end of the night with live music this Saturday. The fun begins at 2 p.m. and the
Okay, now we're
We weren't live on Facebook?
We were live. We just couldn't. No one could hear us.
So you're asking me if I had something queued up? At that moment, I had indigestion, and I didn't get to say the next thing. I was just like, and I didn't want to.
And I was just like, my turn to talk now.
I was thinking I was gonna rip this epic burp into the microphone. And, I mean, I've already shattered.
I could have gone viral.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
It was so bad. I was just like, oh, not right this second.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Boo. It was so funny because the way you transition, you go, hey, we're going to get back to our friends from PVAC. And there was just like this pause, and I was like, well, I don't have a question. I thought you had a question, right?
I did. I was getting ready to ask about the drivers.
Hey Joe, is there any way you can show? People can see that on stream? So see if you can.
Are we trying to identify the points where Devin is speaking?
Yes,
is that
let's
your idea?
identify the point where Devin is speaking. Let's look at that. Do you see that graph? And there's the normal voice tone, and then there's, hello, my name is Devin. That big fat graph right there, that is where I lost another 10% of my hearing.
I was invited to be part of this show because you said that really there wasn't enough excitement. Our listeners, the listeners were falling asleep.
Is that what?
So
they were falling asleep, so we brought you in. We brought you in.
They're like, there's no way they
amazing.
can sleep through our broadcast.
Well, this is true. They could turn it off.
No kidding.
Yeah.
I was, I had not considered that option.
Right, I can hear them walking away from their radios right
I assume most of our listeners are all in rest homes where they just listen to news talk all day and they can't reach the dials. Yeah,
well, I know Will Barger listens to us while he's on his tractor. That's what Will Barger listens to us when he's on his tractor.
Is that right?
Yeah,
oh,
when he's
man.
working on his property, he puts us on in his tractor.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Hey, Will Barger, how are you
I
doing?
don't know Will Barger.
Oh, you should know. That's Pete's brother.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I should meet Will.
Yeah, you should meet
You know
Will.
Will?
No, I should meet him too.
You should.
Absolutely.
He's
Why don't you
fantastic.
make an introduction? All right.
All right, bring us back in, and then be uncomfortable.
And then not have the. I'll try not to have indigestion in the middle of.
Starting at 12 a.m. Thanksgiving Day.
Call now to speak with John Gallina and Brad Borders at 704-873-1400. It's Putting the Pieces Back Together on WSIC.
Welcome back to Putting the Pieces Back Together, presented by Purple Heart Homes. We're with our guests from PVAC, and we were just talking about all the wonderful things they're doing there. So, I don't know who. Brad is he's cracking me up. I had a little goof earlier as I had some indigestion and just stopped in the middle of talking, and we discussed this during the break. For those of y'all who want to hear more about that, hey, go check it out on Facebook
hear
later.
more about that.
We wouldn't want to hear more
Yeah,
about
that's
that.
right.
So why don't we get back to something more interesting, which
let's
is
do. Let's do.
So Julie, you were talking a little earlier about the driving program to get veterans to and fro the VA hospital. How exactly does that work for you?
So we have 4 vehicles now. We keep 3 of them at Purple Heart Homes in the parking lot and one down at Richard's Coffee Shop in their parking lot.
And that's in Mooresville.
That is in Mooresville. And we have a coordinator, Rick Kaufman, and he sets up all the appointments. And he actually does a lot of the driving himself, him and Larry Nosker, who is not driving for us right now. He just had some health issues, so he stepped back for a minute. But last year we drove, I think, just about 100 veterans, 6,000 miles.
Oh, my goodness.
And this is, not just to the VA in Salisbury. We go to Charlotte, Asheville, Winston-Salem, all around wherever they need to go for their medical appointments. So I did some numbers the other day, and I was looking, and we've done, can't remember how many veterans. It's well over 100. We have driven this year so far in 10 months over 16,000 miles transporting veterans.
Holy cow.
Yeah, I know. I was like, I added it up a couple times.
That's an insane amount. And that's basically all falling on just a few people right now.
It is.
So you have a huge need for volunteers.
We definitely need drivers.
Okay.
That's for sure.
All right. So if you are listening and you got some time to give back, perhaps you're a retired veteran who's retired, or looking for a mission or a purpose, and you can drive a vehicle. What sort of qualifications you're looking for a volunteer driver?
So if you're going to do it regularly and we put you on the insurance, you got to have a clean license.
Right. You can't be like, oh yeah, I did 175 miles an hour up I-77 and
right.
Right.
You mentioned good driver. Oh wait, we can't talk about that. I'll get fired too.
Well, that's true. That's true. Yeah. So John Gallina could not be one of your drivers. Is that what
that's
you're
right.
saying? Neither him nor Paul Cochran.
Nor Paul Cochran.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't think I'm allowed to either, actually.
Yeah.
But if you are a good driver,
all right. So clean driving record.
Yeah,
right?
and just being available. I mean, we try and get like a 2-week notice on appointments and such. We've been working with the Veteran Treatment Court, trying to help them out some.
Yep.
And what happens is when someone gets arrested, you don't know when, and you don't know that you're going to get out the next day through the Veteran Treatment Court. So we've been trying to work with that a little bit. So we do have people, as long as they have permission, they can drive for us on a last-minute notice as well. So.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
How many drivers do you have currently right now?
I think we have 3 active drivers.
And what's
Rick Kaufman.
If you had X amount of drivers, that would be what you would need. How many would that be?
I would love to see about 8 at least.
So there's a lot of room there.
Yeah, I'd like to let Rick just do the scheduling and stuff. He's doing most of the driving.
How do they get in touch with PVAC in order to become a driver?
Well, they could call me at 664-0473. That's 704. Or Rick Kaufman, and I don't have his phone number memorized, but Rick is the one that they contact. And I am ready and willing to give them his number when I have my phone in my hand.
Let's hear that cell phone number.
704-664-0473.
Okay.
Could they also contact you on Facebook or any place like that?
They can. Yeah, they can. We would prefer it to be a phone call because I'm just going to give him a phone number for Rick anyways, right?
Right.
So,
absolutely.
And he's not going to do it on Facebook. So.
Okay. All right. So if you're interested in helping out Piedmont Veterans Assistance Council as a volunteer driver, you can contact Julie at her phone number one more time.
704-664-0473.
So just give Julie a call and you can get signed up to do that. And so it's primarily taking veterans to the VA, perhaps other doctor's appointments.
Right.
How far out do y'all go?
We've gone as far as Asheville and as far as, I don't think we've gone past Winston-Salem.
Okay.
Just about
so
there. And
the
Charlotte.
VA clinic in Charlotte or Salisbury. There used to be one in Hickory.
Yep, we go to Hickory.
Right? Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Yep, and it could be, there's specialists too, that people get referred to.
Does it have to be for a medical appointment? Can it be for something else?
It could be for dental. Is that
okay.
count,
Yeah.
But
not like going to the movies.
No.
Yeah.
And it's
okay.
not like
I'm
it's
just
not
checking,
like
right? Because sometimes I need
Were
a
you
ride.
wanting to take him to Stripes?
Right? Yep. It's funny. Yeah.
Well, and it's important too that our drivers will take them there and wait the whole
Oh,
time.
yeah.
So they're not dropping them off and call me when you're ready. They sit
Right.
on site and wait
that's
for
awesome.
them.
Oh, wow.
And a lot of times, you can ask John. John drove for us at one point. Drove a veteran for us, and he took him.
John
for a
Gallina
hair-
did? You
Yeah.
let him do that?
Oh, my
no,
gosh.
but he took the guy for a haircut afterwards.
Oh, okay.
So I mean, we have our drivers. They'll stop by and get some lunch or
Yeah,
or
you can go
something
by
like that.
Bojangles and get a
Yep.
biscuit.
Yep.
Yeah, there you
And-
It's
go.
really up to the discretion of the driver, as long as the
Right.
main appointment is for the VA.
Right. Yep.
Okay. That's awesome.
Yeah,
All right.
it's a good
gosh,
thing.
I love that. Yeah. So, do you guys have a website?
We do.
What's that website?
It's PiedmontVAC.org.
Okay, so that's PiedmontVAC.org. You can go and check that out. That is super cool.
And just so you know, we've got on our Facebook a few people already saying that they are interested in being drivers right
Awesome.
now.
Look at the power of radio and
Yeah,
Facebook.
no kidding. I
That is
didn't
fantastic.
realize people actually
you're-
do listen to that show. So
Yeah.
Chris Benson from Troops Hall Junk and
Oh,
and
Chris.
Dawn
We
know
Clark says her
Chris.
dad might be interested.
Who said
so,
that?
would-
Dawn Clark.
He would have loved to have done
Her,
that.
her dad
He's-
would have loved.
he
Oh,
passed
would
away.
have
Yeah.
loved. I'm
Yeah.
so sorry. Oh gosh. Now, well, I'm gonna let you do the rest of the show by yourself, Brad. I'll be under the table.
I was getting ready to say, I mean, Dawn is really close with us, and if you knew that her dad had come back, that would be, I mean, she would love that.
Yeah.
We would all love that. Her dad was a wonderful man. He was a patriot. He used to wear red, white, and blue everything.
Did he really?
On 4th of July. He had a Willis Jeep from World War II that his son Chip is now restored in Florida, and he also had a deuce and a half, like a truck.
like
a giant-
a military deuce and a
Big
half.
deuce and a half truck that they drove around in a parade in their neighborhood.
Holy smokes!
Yeah, Johnny Clark. He was a fantastic human being.
Wow, that is amazing.
Yeah, get Dawn to tell you about him sometime.
I will. Oh
yeah,
yeah.
she would love to tell you about him. He's fantastic. So, but hey, so I want to let everybody know. So yesterday was John and Dale's Alive Day, right? And so if you don't know what an Alive Day is, if you go through a catastrophic incident where you almost die and don't, that's your Alive Day. And so yesterday was 19 years that we celebrated the fact that John and Dale did not die in a horrible incident of war in 2004. And so today, John put some stuff up on Facebook about his thankfulness of being alive, and I think a lot of folks had commented on that. And so, John, we just want to tell you, if you're listening, we want to tell you that we're glad you're alive, and we're glad that Dale lived. And for those that don't know, Dale Beatty passed away in February of 2018, and we sure miss that guy a lot. And so we celebrate both those guys on Alive Day every year on November 15th. And so we love you guys.
Yes, absolutely. We absolutely love you, and we can't say enough for this great organization that you've helped create, and your
great.
leadership and vision for helping veterans.
You got
And,
any extra buzzwords you want to throw in there? Like put some buzzwords? Put some
What?
buzzwords?
Buzzwords?
Yeah, you got any fancy buzzwords?
I don't. I'm not very articulate.
Okay.
That's
All That's awesome.
I don't get.
Well, we can't. I just noticed we were getting really too serious, and I had to break that.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
You were supposed to bring it back to the funny at the end of the show, right?
Hey, we just got a couple minutes left. General, any final words from you? Thank you for being here, by the way, today. Thank you so much.
Well, Arnold County and our surrounding counties have a heart for our veterans.
That's true.
And our future soldiers, who are our future veterans, pick up on that.
Yeah.
Because where veterans are not upheld and supported, the next generation looks and says, that's obviously not a place where I want to invest my time or sacrifice. So it's important for the next generation to see how we take care of those. We don't leave a fallen comrade.
Agreed.
And at the end of the day, Arnold County produces 3 times the number of
Yeah.
enlistments that beat the national average.
That
And
is
that's-
so
Wow.
amazing that we have such a heart for service. Hey, you've been listening to Putting the Pieces Back Together, presented by Purple Heart Homes. Thank you for everyone listening. We'll be back in 2 weeks with a brand new episode.
Yeah. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Happy
We got a
Thanksgiving.
lot to be thankful for.
You've been listening to Putting the Pieces Back Together, brought to you by Purple Heart Homes. Please consider making a donation to this worthwhile cause dedicated to improving the lives of veterans one home at a time by visiting purplehearthomesusa.org. Join us again next Thursday at 3 p.m. for Putting the Pieces Back Together on WSIC News Talk.